Welcome to Sword of Convallaria, one of the bigger games that came out here in the second half of 2024. Let's get into a bit of an overview and then I'll give you some slight opinions at the end. This is a heavy text dialogue game with voiceover, but there's no English voicing. You get three options: Korean, Chinese, and Japanese. I left it in Japanese, but honestly, it wouldn't matter which one I choose since I don't speak those languages anyways. The dialogue pace of this game is very story-driven. So if you want something fast-paced, then this probably isn't for you. You can skip the cutscenes though, but you'll lose out on a lot of the background and the lore of what makes up this game, I found out. You can also speed up the battle scenes, and I'll touch on that. So when I say it's slower paced, I mean overall, it's not that you can't increase the speed of certain parts. Now you start this game off with a character and you're thrown into prison. And while you're there, another character breaks into the prison and creates an issue with the guards just before you're about to be executed, and this allows you to join in on the battle and then escape. Now, the opening battle is going to act as your first tutorial. This teaches you all the normal basics, letting you figure out how to move on the grid, how to attack, use your skills, and all that. It's all pretty simple, and where the blue tile is where your character's movement that you see there on the screen. The red tiles is where you can't go yet. You get a different set of glowing tiles when it's time to use your attack, and there's a normal ending splash screen at the end of the victory. So you win the fight, you bust out of prison, and you're going to talk to your new friend here, Raya. Eventually, you get to name your character. I left it default, which was Envoy Tariq. You're going to have some more dialogue that happens between this person and a couple more characters that come in. And then you're going to have to head into the next room. In the next room, you're going to have this like battle scene that's going to happen here, and it's kind of climactic for being so early on in the game. It's going to happen with the person that you just met. After the prison battle, you got to head outside, and you find a big riot is going on in the city. This is where you meet Maitha, and they let you get more used to the battle mechanics of the game. Now, while having Maitha in your squad as the story progresses forward, this is really important because she's another major character in the game. Now, really early on, you can't change the battle from manual to auto, since they want you to get used to how the game works, but you can change the speed to fast. And it's a bit hard to tell right now because I have the gameplay footage sped up as it is, but this pretty much just moves the camera a lot quicker as it pans from character to character. Some people probably like it, some people might not. I think it just depends on how you are. If you get like easily motion sick, and if you're using this on a bigger screen, like a TV or monitor, I think it's a bit of an issue for some people. But if you're not, you're just on a regular mobile device, I think you're going to be fine. So if you want the fastest experience, you can turn it on to auto battle and on fast speed. And that works really well for grinding levels, or if you're just really stuck in a battle, because the system is usually pretty good at handling it on its own, but it will take away from some of your own experience with the game. After most of the opening battles, you'll get some small cutscenes about the city and then with your team, but they toss you into one more fight before all this closes out. And this one is so they can introduce you to how explosive barrels work. And Maitha gets a new ability that lets her knock back objects like the barrels at the enemies, and it knocks them a space over on the grid. You'll get to use this quite a bit from this point going forward. After the big city battles end, you're going to wake up and you'll come across a, quote, mysterious cat, which later they tell you the name is Kuro. And this kind of acts like your mentor and guide. If you've watched enough anime, you know that cats are used a lot in this kind of game. The cat helps you by telling you what needs to happen next, so you'll have a lot of interactions with this character. When you get done talking to Kuro, then everything closes out and the intro for the game is over. Now you actually get into the prologue of the game and the real story begins. Now when it comes to leveling up your characters, adding equipment, setting up skills, it's all pretty easy in this game. They give you access right at the bottom of the screen here. So if we hit characters, for example, you can click your character. I'll pick Maitha. On the left hand side of the screen here, it'll show her level. Right now it's 11 of 12. I'll click that. Click the little plus here, and I'll just confirm, and that's going to let me level her up to whatever is next. To the right of the level is the rank. Rank is like your skill tree, and the skill tree is going to be relevant to the type of character that it is that you're actually using. So she's kind of like a tank mercenary girl. And there's two sides to the skill tree, guard and survival. So on the survival side right now, this code defense is actually a passive skill, and I'll show that in a second. And the one on the left, I believe, is also a passive skill. So I don't know if every character is always passive or some are active, but that's like your skill tree. If we take a look on the right hand side, this is where we can add our equipment, so our armor and weapons. If you don't have anything equipped, you can click these items and they'll say, instead of unequipping, it'll ask you if you want to equip everything, and it'll just auto equip the best equipment that it has right now. Or you can manually touch it, pick your item, and then equip it, unequip it. And if something is already equipped to somebody else, you'll see a little profile picture there. You can equip it, and then it'll say, hey, this is already equipped to somebody else. Do you want to swap it out? And you can do that. Below that is going to be your skills that I talked about. So I think each character has 2 default skills that they come with, and those are the active ones. And then I'm not sure if everybody gets a passive skill right away, but a lot of characters have passive skills, and those are related to the skill tree that you just saw. Oh, one more thing. So let me go back in there. If you want to inspect your current skin that you're wearing, you can switch skins once you get to star level 5. I'm not there right now. I'm not on, it's different from the character level. So if you click inspect, right, you can check out the artwork and everything that your character has. All right. If you go back out to the main screen, the rest is pretty self-explanatory. On the top left, you have like friends, mail, announcements. The last one is like a battle log. This one here, okay, this one here is your quests, and you're going to want to check this pretty often, because as you do things in the game, there's going to be things for you to collect. So like I got one right here. I'm going to go ahead and collect that. And that's pretty much it, I think, for the basics. If you see that little orange icon, that indicates that there's something there that you need to give attention to. So like in the events here, I haven't read all of these things, so it was notifying me. Friends, I think they give you like a recommended friend list, and you also, I think, have the ability to join guilds from that section. And then mail is going to be your other stuff like this, telling you that maintenance is complete, and they give you a little reward for it. So again, there's a lot of little stuff that you can collect. Pretty neat. And then next I'll go over like the decor and the voyage memento for this. This game has a lot more things that you can unlock and discover than I originally thought it would have. If you like a more story-driven experience with 2D small sprites in a Final Fantasy Tactics-style atmosphere, and don't mind the slower overall pace of the game, then this might be for you. This is all subjective, but for me personally, I felt it hard to get engrossed in the storyline. They don't really tell you much about the main character from the start. They don't really indicate that you're fighting this big noble cause. They kind of do, but they don't really go in depth about it. So I didn't feel connected in a way. I don't know if they help you understand that much later in the game, since I only got so far, but this is the kind of thing that I want to understand early in my Avengers, because I want to know that I'm the hero and my band of friends is there to support me. That might be nitpicking because everyone has a different experience, but that's just what I felt. I also wasn't fond of not being able to rotate the battlefield. Depending on the setup of the battle, it was really hard sometimes to see exactly what tile an enemy or your team member was standing on, and that really made it difficult sometimes to like select the right thing that you needed to. But there was still a lot of things to like. You can use the environment to your advantage. Depending on the height and the items on the field, and even hitting an enemy from the back or side will deal more damage. There's things like explosive barrels and barriers that can work either for or against you. They give you a lot of free items to collect on a regular basis, and there are several things to do, from a lot of side quests, joining guilds, decorating the home base, collecting armor, weapons, accessories, and going for those stronger heroes. Now, even with the UI complaints that I have, I still found it pretty easy to use and navigate. That's including both during the battle and even when doing everything else. I don't quite feel like this is a hero collector kind of game, but rather a mixture of several elements. But even though grid-based combat games do come out semi-frequently, this one might feel different than a lot of those, especially if you grew up or played one of the FF Tactics games of the late 90s, early 2000s. The pixel artwork and battle style is a big throwback, and people around my age will probably feel like that can be a refreshing change over some of the more modern systems that have incredibly stylish in-game effects and artwork. You can really tell the devs in this game are trying to tell you a story. They want you to slow down, take things in. This kind of game is a big change from all your normal, quicker-based RPGs that now exist on the market. This has been Blue Screen of Tech. New videos coming. Whenever I get to it, I'll see you in the next game.